Hey everybody, Jazzy here. You all voted and my solo WARLY world on Twitch has now been titled Thrill of the Grill. Thank you so much for helping me put a name to this project, which has been so much fun to stream on. And for those of you who missed it live, here is a recap of year 2. I had just gotten back from first summer where we cleared the ruins and we killed Ancient Guardian, so now I'm working towards this Fuelweaver fight. Early autumn was spent saddling a beefalo and collecting the suspicious marble pieces and bringing them to the set piece. You can do this fight every new moon, and the first new moon happens on night 1, then again every 20 days. I'm trying to do the fight on night 81. Best not to bring a backpack for moving the marble pieces because they take up your body slot, and bring a head slot light source like a miner hat just in case you're moving pieces at night. Also, learn from my mistake and bring a beefalo hat. If your beefalo goes into heat while you're moving pieces around, then it's going to start attacking you every time you get bucked off. Either way, if your beefalo's not that domesticated, then you're going to be bucked off a lot more often while it's in heat, so you're going to want to dismount like every 4 seconds or so just to reset the ride cooldown. To compound my problems, Bearger spawned while I was getting bucked by my horny cow, so I just left both of them in the forest while I ran back to Bee Queen to get my beefalo hat. I figure I'll finish moving the pieces and then I'll use Bearger to farm a little bit of wood before the fight with the shadow pieces. Once I very painfully moved the final piece into position, I picked a little peninsula to leave the beefalo. If you unload an area while the beefalo is sleeping, their domestication is effectively frozen. So if you want to keep domesticating beefalo later, I can just come back and grab them whenever. Alright, time for Bearger. Now, I'm wearing a Magiluminescence for this session, and here's why. Bearger doesn't harvest trees when he walks over them, but when he's charging you, he does. So what I'm trying to do is create as much distance between myself and Bearger so that I can extend the time of his charge. This will also help to keep him away from the tree guards that spawn. They will eventually catch up and kill him, but it seems to help to have Bearger charged to get away from them as they spawn. Rest in peace, good buddy. Next year, I'm gonna find him a much safer stomping grounds. Okay, time for the shadow pieces. I like to go knight, bishop, then rook. The knight, it's just impossible to kite, so I like to get him first. The rook is the only tier 3 shadow boss that you can realistically kite, and you need about a 55% speed boost to do it. I've got a walking cane, a Magiluminescence, and a road, and that's a 75% speed boost, so it'll be more than enough. But now that we got our shadow heart, it's time to go grab some fossil fragments from stalagmites in the caves and hunt for the tentapillar to the Atrium. We stepped into the Atrium on day 89. I'm very thankful for that. I was really not looking forward to exploring the caves in winter. But the first thing I want to do in winter is sail back to the Lunar Island, assemble the Celestial Altar, and craft some glass cutters for Fuelweaver. These cutters are basically dark swords, except they don't have a sanity drain. They only have 75 uses, but versus shadows, including Fuelweaver, they have 150 uses. So they're really the perfect weapon choice for that fight. I'm also finally able to grab the stone fruit bushes from the main island. And then we sailed back home, we planted the bushes, and then we geared up for some claws. Year 2 loot stash. Alas, still no Krampus sack. I'm not feeling the pain too much since upgrading to a piggyback, but it will be very nice to eventually get those 14 inventory slots. In the meantime, a glowcap blueprint is very nice. And as always, I will take the wax paper for bundles. Deerclops came pretty much right after. I opted to kite her this time because I'm able to wear the Bee Queen crown and neutralize the insanity aura. I'm just trying to save durability as much as possible, and please don't ask why I'm doing this with the piggyback on. Alright, time to make some final preparations for Fuelweaver. I always make a list for the first fight because there's so much to keep track of. First thing on the list is Sanity Restoration. Now, this is going to be a little tricky because I can't just grab a stack of cooked cactus with WARLY. I also need to consider his repeat dish penalty. For example, if I eat 5 taffy, then every taffy I eat after that is only going to give me 4.5 sanity back. Unless I'm playing Wolfgang, I've never killed Fuelweaver without at least 100 sanity restoration. So I'm gonna try for Ice Cream, which heals for 50 sanity. And after the repeat dish penalty, WARLY's gonna get about 167 sanity from eating 4 ice creams. And that should be more than enough. So I'm off to the Volt Goats with my Morning Star and my Eyebrow. To get electric milk for the ice cream, I'm gonna need to kill some charged Volt Goats. You can charge a goat anytime by hitting it, either with a Morning Star or eat Chauffois and hit it with anything. Feels kinda silly wearing an Eyebrella in winter, but you need lightning insulation for this, otherwise you get zapped when you hit them. I forgot to make body armor, so I'm trying really hard to not get hit by one. Don't ask why I did this with a piggyback on. Now for healing, I'm also thinking about that repeat dish penalty. If I go for a food that heals for less, like honey ham or trail mix, then the penalty is gonna make the dish basically useless after a few meals. So I'm looking at the big healing dishes like surf and turf. Ponds are frozen over, and I'm not really in a mood to do a ton of ocean fishing, so I instead opt for lobster bisque. One of these heals for 60, so 3 should be all I need for healing if I can end the fight quickly. Lobsters are super convenient to fish, and there's dens off the coast of most biomes. Very convenient winter healing food. I'm bundling up a couple Weather Panes and Lazy Explorers, but I'm thinking that WARLY with Volt Goat Jelly versus a wet Fuelweaver is not going to need more than one of each. Let's see, Nightmare Amulet, Bee Queen Crown, Glass Cutters, Thulecite Armor, the Key, the Atrium, the Fossils. I think it's time. So winter in the caves typically gets a lot of rain, and after the first rain, the ambient temperature prevents mobs and structures from drying after the rain, meaning the ground and everything touching it will remain wet for the entire season. This is why winter is typically a great time to fight cave bosses such as Toadstool, because you can take advantage of the electric damage. Last day of winter, I popped down to the caves, and nothing is wet. This means that it did not rain in the caves at all this winter. Very unusual, but okay, no Fuelweaver until spring then. And since we're waiting around until spring, let's bully some merms and make a fish cordon bleu just in case we get caught in the rain during Fuelweaver. Oh yeah, one of the sketchiest moments of the run so far happened while I was trying to open the tented pillar to the Atrium. I got ambushed by 4 depth swarms and my armor broke in the middle of the fight. If I had taken 2 bites here, I would have died, and that probably would have ended the run, because I have this life-giving amulet, but I'd be right back with the worms again. I had to back off for a second and deal with them in an open field. I'm just glad I wasn't crazy and wet and starving while fighting with a slippery weapon. Anyways, we're finally in the Atrium. This is the worst Atrium generation I've ever seen. Guarding the entrance to the gateway room is 2 clockwork knights, 2 bishops, and a rook. If I only had to clear these guys once, it'd be fine, but I will have to do this every time I reset the ruins, otherwise they're gonna chase me into the gateway room. So yeah, I was pretty insane from getting over here, and I didn't want to eat my ice cream until the fight started, so I hunted down an ancient obelisk, and I stood next to one with my Bee Queen crown until my sanity was topped off. The bummer is I can't just telepoof back into the gateway room because my sanity won't be topped off anyway, but this is still better than fully insane. I was sweating a little bit here because the rain was letting up and I didn't want the skeleton to dry off, but I also didn't want to start the fight with slippery weapons that I left on the ground. As soon as the glass cutters dried out, I started the fight and I slammed some goat jelly. I'll wear the Bee Queen crown and kite as usual for the first phase, and with the jelly I'm hitting 170 damage per swing, so we pretty quickly get to phase 2. After clearing these summons, I start tanking with full Thulecite gear, but that might have been a mistake, because I lost about 89 sanity in 19 seconds of tanking. That's like 2 ice creams I could have saved just by wearing the Bee Queen crown instead. Anyways, the fight took about 2 minutes. F tier, you say? 2 minutes, fam. Maybe one of these fights I'll use as many WARLY foods as possible to get rain protection, cold protection, darkness protection, and damage reduction, all while enjoying a 3 times damage multiplier. And I would only do this to illustrate how criminally underrated WARLY is as a character. It's moments like these that demonstrate perfectly well how massive of a payoff you get from dealing with his disadvantages. Anyways, Fuelweaver is dead, and it's time to settle down on a more permanent base location and move all of my crap over from Bee Queen. I am eyeing the Oasis again for a few reasons. First, obviously I don't need to worry about wildfires. I'm close to Dragonfly, Pearl's Island, Pig King biome for gold and loot stash hunting, and a wormhole that leads to Triple Mactusk biome on the far other side of the world, which is also close to the Moonstone Forest, the swamp, and the Lunar Island. So So while it seems remote on the map, it will actually make for some good access to various parts of the world. I spent a good chunk of spring just moving stuff over from Bee Queen to the Oasis and setting up a few chests for basic storage. And now I'm setting up the chest pieces for another shadow boss fight. I'm going to want 2 more shadow Atriums in the near future. The first so that I can fight Fuelweaver again after clearing the ruins, and the second for farming trees with a Forest Stalker. I get interrupted with a Hound Wave, but I don't have any Tooth Trap set up yet, so I need to run. If I can't cancel a wave by jumping into a sinkhole, I'll try to get to a road as quickly as possible and start looking for some kind of hound distraction. Fortunately, the beehives are close to the road, so I can just smack a few of these and get a nice distraction of a swarm. And then I get another Hound Wave while fighting the Tier 3 Rook. So I decide to keep the Rook alive and let him take out the Hounds. He's got a real nice area of effect bite that absolutely destroys most mobs, so he's great for killing dogs and vultures. If you're using the Bee Queen crown to reverse the Rook's sanity gain, you gotta stand right inside the dude. For some reason, the aura diminishes really fast if you're standing away from the center. But the Rook kills the Hounds, I kill the Rook, WARLY gets an Atrium. I had this awkward moment at the start of summer where I realized that I didn't have any flint to make thermal stones. I need 1 to fight Antlion, and I need another to cool myself. So I stagger out of the Oasis to go grab some flint. It's weird, but this was something that I ran out of a lot on my previous Megabase world. I think I just never thought to farm them after transitioning to gold tools, but the fact is I still need flint for a lot of crafting recipes. So yeah, I should probably mine the occasional petrified forest. I also needed to grab some more silk for fishing rods so I can get my desert goggles blueprint from the Oasis. I really should have done this before summer, but it's fine. I really like the luxury fan in summer. It lowers your temperature by 50 degrees and it has 15 uses. Wearing the umbrella will keep you cooled down even longer. And with a modest supply of silk, we're back to the desert to fish for goggles. And it actually didn't take too long. I'm giving Antlion trinkets until I can fight her. After a few days of playing with the Volt Goats and poison birch nut trees, we finally get a Hound Wave. I refuse to fight Antlion before a Hound Wave, because Hounds will absolutely ruin the fight. So will Insanity. Don't be insane for this one. Day 133 is our first Antlion kill. Yeah, basing the Oasis has the huge advantage of proximity to Antlion, which makes it very convenient to kill her every summer. And the rest of summer is spent breaking ground on the first major build of the world, which will eventually be a combination kitchen and storage zone. I will share a rough draft of the general design with you here, but the finished product will definitely have more detail added. Day 140, my desert goggles broke. It's not as bad as breaking an umbrella, but embarrassing nonetheless. But it's fine, we have pigskin. And replanting the stone fruit bushes as year 3 rolls around. In autumn, we're gonna fight our first Dragonfly and continue building our kitchen and chests. I hope you're enjoying the recap videos, and I definitely hope that you could join us next time for the live streams. Take care.